started. Sounds better there. I'm going around. Alright, what up guys? It's working, yeah? Yeah. Alright, so some of you may have saw it. I was on Facebook talking about you know what, and this city's completely dead. The entire city. We drove all around downtown. What's the best, most poppin' place? All dead. So we just went to the fountain, and coincidentally every Thursday night at the same time everyone meets here for a bike ride. So there were tons of people here getting super triggered, getting up in my face, assaulting my stuff, touching me, pushing me. But you guys know how it goes. Whatever, so I did that on Facebook, and then everyone ended up leaving. So we're gonna do some activism just because we're out here, you know what I'm saying? There are a few people out there, if you guys spin around, look at the water, there are a few people that come out here, a few people come by on their bikes. We're just gonna do the activism best we can. It is what it is. I mean, I figured I'd do some activism, so. Let's get into it.
In the world. So, this is my first time in Portland, Oregon, and apparently it's super dead and basically a ghost city. And no one does anything. That's not weird. I guess the government didn't give us permission to hang out. That's probably what it was. It's probably past your curfew. I will say before I get into this really triggering subject, the government doesn't give us curfews, the government doesn't tell us what we're allowed to wear, the government doesn't put us in lockdowns. That's what communist governments do. That's called a totalitarian dictatorship. That's not what we are. So I'll pass on that. I like to breathe oxygen. I don't need permission to do that. Anyway, just wear your mask for 2 weeks and we'll get back to normal. That was 18 months ago. Feels weird with no one here, but your city is low-key falling apart, I guess. So whoever's supposed to hear it is supposed to hear it. I'm offering anybody here that can hear this $100 cash if they can get 3 questions right. You don't have to pay to play. You don't have to pay if you're wrong. $100 cash. All you gotta do is get 3 questions right. I'll even tell you what the first question is. One of the easiest questions I could think of. According to what we were all taught, how many times does the Earth spin every day? How many times does the Earth rotate every 24 hours? If you get that right, in the next 2 questions, you win $100. Free money, right? Anyway, because what I'm about to say, you guys are going to think is crazy. You 100% are uninformed on the subject. It's heavily censored. You've never tested or researched it. But if you call me names and laugh, that's all you got to do. You know that I'm wrong. A lot like the crowd here that was met together for the bike ride I was doing. A lot of the crowd, they couldn't argue against anything. I was literally reading an insert from a certain thing going around, word for word. Can't even say the word now. I'm on YouTube. Almost said the word. They'll delete it. So anyway, I'm used to it. But I'm just gonna hit you with the truth. It is what it is. I thought it sounded crazy too. Everyone here thinks that the Earth is a giant blue marble, a spinning ball in space. We've been to the moon in 1969. We saw the Earth. We have pictures of the Earth from space. We go to space all the time. Elon Musk has been to space. Jeff Bezos just went to space. Virgin Galactic just went to space. So everyone thinks they know what the Earth is. They rarely think about it. Doesn't matter. Who cares? I gotta get on TikTok. The truth of the matter actually is, the Earth is not a spinning ball in a vacuum. That's a complete lie. Not true at all. This is where you guys check out typically. The Earth is actually flat. It's flat. It doesn't spin. And this guy resets for all recorded history. Called it on the 360 cam. You saw him. Now as they walk away, because this makes them feel like they're smart and I'm dumb. If you look out here, there's water right here. This water is completely level. It's called fluid statics. Water always finds its level. This is why we put water in levels to build things, right? That's why it's called sea level. This water is completely flat and level, as is water always. If you have a bottle of water, turn it in all directions, always going to find its level. How is 70% of the surface of the Earth ocean water that's level on a ball? Oh, here we go. This whole city's falling apart, but this guy can't use his First Amendment. I can't walk around without stepping on needles, but can't use your First Amendment. Okay, thank you. Wow, guess there is some pros to cities falling apart. Okay, so here's the deal. The Earth is round, so are quarters. So anyway, if the Earth is such a ball, tell me how this happens, since I'm so dumb. We saw mountains from 273 miles away. Based on the globe Earth math, the mountains should have been blocked by 3 miles of vertical curvature obstruction, yet we could see the mountains. How'd that happen? How'd that happen? So her response is go back to 5th grade, right? This is all we ever get. So let me give you a hypothetical. If someone has a genius IQ, and they've researched this for 5 years, and they've gone out and tested it for 5 years, does that make them dumb if you say so? Does their genius IQ go out the window? Of course not. That's not an argument. We saw mountains from 273 miles away. Based on the globe Earth, there should have been 3 miles of curvature blocking it. Did I go X-ray vision Superman and look through the curvature of the Earth and see the mountains? No. We saw the skyline of Chicago from 60 miles away. Based on the globe Earth math, the entire skyline of Chicago should have been blocked. Yeah, we could see it. How does that work on a ball? I'm so stupid for not believing him. It doesn't. Don't worry, I got more for you. We've seen mountains from 103 miles away, 253 miles away, 255 miles away, 212 miles away, 273 miles away. All of these are impossible. Okay, so based on geometry that you should have learned in 5th grade or so, the radius of the Earth is supposedly 3,959 miles. What that means is you see the curvature of the Earth at 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Right? So it's pretty simple. The square root of 1 is 1. 1 times 1.225 is 1.225. What that means is, if we're 1 foot off the surface of this ball Earth, and we look out, we should see the curvature at 1.2 miles away. It's called geometry. We have an observation off the coast of Cali, 1 foot off the water. 1 foot, actually less than that. Camera was on the beach, in the water practically. And the horizon was over 10 miles away. Based on geometry, that would require a sphere have a radius of 264,000 miles. Sounds like over 250,000 miles is a little more than 4,000 miles. Here's where it gets tricky. If the radius value they taught us in school with cartoons and the public education system run by the government is wrong, the entire model's wrong. The entire globe Earth model uses the radius, day and night cycle, gravity. To go to space, quote unquote, you need to attain escape velocity. That means you have to get in a gravitational orbit. This requires the radius value. Distances on the Earth use the radius value, but we know the distances on the Earth. We've traveled them, we've mapped them out, we've physically measured them. So those cannot change. This radius value has been falsified, and that is why the government came out and admitted that they forcibly censor flat Earth. They called it dangerous misinformation. So a lot of these people in the city, they think that they're real liberal and they buck the system and they're anti-government, but they're defending a story from the government where they said they went to the moon in 1969. So we're going to talk about the moon. Most of you guys think there are pictures of the Earth from space. NASA actually admits we don't have real pictures of the Earth from space today, that they're computer-generated images and they're photoshopped because it's too hard to get far enough away to get a picture of the Earth in entirety. So on NASA's own website, they admit they're just cartoons. So who's the conspiracy theorist, right? Because there aren't real pictures of the Earth from space being a ball. That doesn't exist. The one that's supposedly real is from the moon landing and the moon missions. They supposedly took a picture in 1972. We did not go to the moon. You cannot go to the moon. In fact, NASA was supposed to go to the moon in 2024. They just pushed it back to 2028. That's like the 15th time that NASA has pushed back their moon mission. Okay, so if you think we landed on the moon and filmed it in black and white in 1969, you're the conspiracy theorist. Doesn't matter what you say about it. Not real. They supposedly brought moon rocks back from the moon and gave them to different governments. One of the governments was Holland. Holland decided to test the rocks. Guess what turns out they actually were? Petrified wood. All open information. You can pull your dumb phone out and Google it. So if you really went to the moon, why'd you have to bring back fake moon rocks? That's weird. Did you guys know that Nazis are the one that took us to the moon? It's called Operation Paperclip. Do you think Nazis would ever lie? So when people attack me and make fun of me, they're literally defending a story from the government working with Nazis. Declassified. It's called Operation Paperclip. It's called that because they put paper clips in different people's folders to mark who they wanted to bring over to work with the government. One of them was Werner von Braun. He was an SS officer of the Nazi regime. He's the one that supposedly took us to the moon. You think a Nazi SS officer would ever lie? We're going with the mainstream narrative that the Nazis were really bad. I actually don't know. I wasn't there. I don't believe anything the government says ever. But they told us they were bad. Then why did they work with them? Why'd they work with them? So Werner von Braun, a Nazi SS officer, supposedly took us to the moon. Yeah. Something else he did was he put Psalms 19:1 on his tombstone. Psalms 19:1 says there's a firmament over the earth. Firmament in Hebrew is rakia, strong as bronze. So why did he put a Bible verse that says you can't go to space? There's a firmament that's containing the earth, strong as bronze. He let the truth out on his deathbed. Something else Werner von Braun did when he wasn't busy mass murdering millions of people, allegedly, was he wrote a science fiction book in the 50s. You can verify all of this, and some things are more important than Snapchat, TikTok, and Netflix, I promise. Maybe you should recognize the government's giving us curfews and lockdowns now, and the whole entire world agrees, including North Korea, China, Russia, and the United States. Probably time that we wake up to some of these uncomfortable truths. So he wrote a science fiction book in the 50s. In this book, the main character's title is Elon. And guess what Elon does in this book? He takes everyone to Mars for the first time. He takes humans to Mars, written in the 50s. What a coincidence. In 21st century, we have a guy named Elon Musk supposedly about to take us to Mars. I guess the Nazi wasn't just really good at building rockets. He was also a prophet. I'm the conspiracy theorist, remember? I'm the conspiracy theorist. You're a coincidence theorist. These are all coincidences. So I'm going to tell you the progression of the operations of the biggest lie in mankind's history. It is up to you whether or not you can swallow your pride and accept the truth. I only plant the seeds. I cannot force you to be honest. In 1945, that was Operation Paperclip. We brought Nazis over here. The very next year, 1946, it's called Operation High Jump. The U.S. government went and explored the Antarctic region with someone called Admiral Byrd, a well-decorated admiral for the U.S. military. He went and explored this region. He came back after a few years on a nationally televised interview, and he said, "It is astonishing to me that there is an area as big as the continental U.S. on the other side of Antarctica that no one knows exists, and it has tons of resources." Interesting. He then died 3 years later, and in fact, in between that time period, his son was found dead in a warehouse. So that was 54 in the interview. He died in 57. In 1958, the year after he died, they founded NASA. 1958. The year after that, in 1959, they signed what's called the Antarctic Treaty, which is the longest lasting peace treaty in modern history, still intact to this day, not even up for review until 2042. And what it says is, it is illegal for the general public to explore Antarctica privately. China, Russia, North Korea, the United States, they're all in agreement, 59 countries now, that it's illegal for you to go there. What's up with that? Well, here's where it gets tricky again. On a ball, Antarctica is an ice cap on the bottom. All you'd have to do to prove the Earth's a ball and shut this stupid flat earther up is fly over Antarctica and pop back up on the other side. That's impossible on a flat earth. It's called north to south circumnavigation. Never been done in the history of mankind, and it's illegal to even try to do it. Yeah, China and the U.S. are such enemies that they're in a peace treaty together. That says it's illegal for us to go find out what's out there. Right after they went out there. So anyway, they signed that treaty in 1959. In 1961, JFK came out and said, "We're going to go to the moon." He got on TV in an interview, in a speech. He told the United States, "We're going to go to the moon. America's going to be the first country to go to the moon, and we're going to do it within 8 years." The very next year, 1962, the U.S. military did something called Operation Fishbowl. That was part of a bigger operation called Operation Dominique, which translates to of the Lord. So literally, it's Operation Fishbowl of the Lord. And what they did in this operation was they started shooting high-altitude missiles up, and they kept exploding at different altitudes. They effectively mapped out the firmament. They couldn't get past it. This is all declassified. That's the craziest part of this is, you can call me names. You never heard of any of this, and it's all declassified on the government's own websites. They just know no one will read it. They just watch CNN or Fox News. You better pick one. Joe Biden or Donald Trump, you better pick one. No, I'm good, I'll pass. I don't like voting for psychopaths. So anyway, that's 1962. They shot missiles up. Operation High Jump. Then, in 1968, a movie came out. It was called Space Odyssey. It won Film of the Year, and it was about a moon landing. And then in 1969, we miraculously went to the moon. In between this time, of course, JFK came out. He did a speech talking about the elite, how they're behind the scenes and they run the show, but no one knows. And how no one knows about what they're really doing, right? And he got assassinated 6 months later. He also signed an executive order to combat the Federal Reserve. He got assassinated right after that. So after they took JFK out, maybe he would have told us the truth. Who knows, that they couldn't actually go. They killed him. And then they supposedly went to the moon in 1969. One of the guys that was supposed to go to the moon for NASA came out and he said, "Dude, we'll never go to the moon." He said, "We can't even get to low Earth orbit. We can't communicate within our own building." He hung a limit on the module, said, "We're never going to the moon next year. It's impossible." He then randomly exploded on NASA's facilities while he was checking wires. They sealed the door where it couldn't be opened from the inside, pumped it with tons of oxygen, and he effectively burned to life instantaneously. All of this is declassified. So the dude came out and said we can't go to the moon. They just took him out. Admiral Byrd came out and said there's more land over there. They just took him out. JFK came out and said that there's some secret group of people behind the scenes running everything. Took him out. And now 50 years later, I come out here trying to wake people up and I get attacked. It's pretty hysterical, honestly. It's called Stockholm Syndrome. If someone is to capture you and torture you, right, it'll happen to such an extent that there will be a psychological effect that you will actually defend your captor. The victim will defend the person that stole them and kidnapped them. That's what this is. People defend the government because it's too uncomfortable to think that maybe they're trying to hurt you or lie to you. So anyway, we didn't actually go to the moon. That's supposed one real picture of the Earth from space. NASA admits the pictures now aren't real. So actually, Don Pettit, world-renowned astronaut, was asked, why can't we go to the moon? He said, why can't we go back to the moon yet? He said, I'd go back to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. So NASA's official explanation of why we can't go back to the moon like we did in '69 is that they destroyed the technology and they can't rebuild it yet. I'm on an iPhone 12 Pro right now, right? Has higher processing capability than a warehouse of computers in the 60s. Technology gets better, not worse. We give NASA $60 million a day. What a joke. But here's him saying it out of his own mouth in case you don't believe me. This is an astronaut that works for NASA, a very famous one, Don Pettit.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Dude, if you believe that, you're a psychopath. If you think that they can't rebuild a rocket from the 60s in 2021, you, my friend, are the conspiracy theorist. So don't make this weird. The Earth is flat, bro. Don't make it weird, okay? I didn't make the Earth. I didn't lie to you about the Earth. I'm just one of millions of people that found out that they lied. In 2015, the top two Google terms were Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Right behind that was flat Earth. It absolutely exploded in 2015. People started reading the operation, started physically measuring the Earth, started making observations, found out that they lied. So then the government came out and admittedly so, on video in Congress, said that they censor flat Earth because it's dangerous misinformation. That's why you've never heard of me, you've never heard of Jeranism, or Eric Dubé, or Globebusters. You'll never hear of these people because we're forcibly censored. I've been kicked off Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Venmo, PayPal, YouTube, you name it, for saying that the Earth is flat and that the Creator loves you. That's so dangerous. You know what's dangerous about it? It shows that they're lying to you and all the governments are working together. One of the number one questions we get is, why would they even lie about that? I just told you they signed a treaty. They don't let you go there. There's hiding potentially more land and resources. We give NASA $60 million a day, but the government would never lie to get money for black budget purposes. They also know that you can't trust your senses. You think you're spinning, but you feel like you're still. You think you're on a curved ball, but all you see is flat everywhere. So you got to turn to the authority to get all your answers. You think you're on a tiny speck of dust in an ever-expanding universe of nothingness that's real dark and cold, and an asteroid might kill you like it did the dinosaurs. You better turn to the government to keep you safe. This is how you create a slave state, and they're hiding land and resources potentially. So why would they lie? Why would they not lie, bro? When did they not lie? Knowledge is power. It's much more powerful than the only one with it. Why'd they lie about weapons of mass destruction? Why they lie about the Vietnam War and say Vietnam attacked us and came out and admitted we blew up our own ship, made it look like it was them, and then went and attacked them? You tell me why they lied. Doesn't matter. Why they lied is independent of the fact that they objectively did, and you can prove it. Right? So we physically measure the surface of the Earth. There are dozens of declassified documents from the military that say the Earth is flat. If you look up how they design military jets, it says that it assumes a flat, non-rotating surface. If you look up how they design ballistic missiles, it assumes a flat, non-rotating surface. If you look up how they actually use navigation to find the bad guy, they use Cartesian coordinate systems assuming a flat, non-rotating surface. They always assume a flat Earth. Whenever they created ground weapon systems, they built towers as ground weapon systems, they assumed the Earth was flat so that it could work. It's called electromagnetic propagation over a flat Earth. You can look it up. It's a government document. Why is the government spending billions and billions of dollars on technology assuming the Earth is flat if none of it would work if the Earth wasn't flat? I guess they're just trolling. Never heard any of this, doesn't matter. Just make fun of me. Think about this logically for a second, okay? If you're flying over a ball that's spinning, it's going to be different if you're flying over a flat Earth that's not spinning, because the ground's going down and below you and it's spinning. So you have to fly a plane assuming that it's not moving and assuming that it's flat, or you'll literally crash and die. So what's up with that? They have to assume the Earth is flat to do anything in the real world, any practical use case ever. The military knows it and admit it in their own documents. They know they brainwash the public so much so they don't care. They'll make fun of me. They won't read the documents. They'll get on TikTok, watch Netflix, and then go back and watch the Cowboys play. Who cares? I heard Polo G just dropped that heat. When's Drizzy's album coming out? This guy's lame. If I call him names, it makes the Earth a ball. So I know it's kind of uncomfortable. I'm going to probably take a few breaks and see if more people come here, but here's the deal. The Earth is provably flat, okay? It's not smooth the whole way. Of course, we have mountains and valleys. It's called a topographical plane. There's something containing the Earth. This is because what you're breathing is called oxygen, or at least some people in this city are breathing. It's oxygen that's a gas pressure, okay? We have numerous gases on the Earth. You cannot have gas pressure sitting next to a vacuum. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. The gas would instantaneously go into the vacuum. Just like when you open a soda, it has high pressure. You open it up, it goes instantaneously, equalizing and seeking equilibrium to the lower pressure around it. It has to be sealed to keep the high pressure. Pressure requires containment. It's in the word pressure. Pressure. It presses on the walls of a container. Gas pressure is the energy or force exerted on the walls of a container. That's the literal Harvard definition. You can't have gas pressure that you're breathing sitting next to a near-perfect vacuum of 10 to the negative 17 torr without a container. It's impossible. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. There is no vacuum of space. Of course they didn't go there. You can't go to Narnia either. Okay. So 70% of the surface of the Earth is ocean water. Water always finds its level. It's called fluid statics. That's why it's called sea level. That's why we put fluid in levels. Water always finds its level. Okay, how is 70% of a ball level? And you can't have pressure next to a vacuum. And we saw mountains 273 miles away should have been blocked by 3 miles of Earth curvature. The skyline in Chicago, 60 miles across Lake Michigan, should have been completely blocked by Earth curvature. Mountains are 103 miles away, 212 miles away, 255 miles away. All of these are impossible. We went out and did it ourselves. And you can prove it. You can use something called Nikon P900, Nikon P1000. The P900 has an 83x zoom. The P1000 has a 125x zoom. Technology outpaced the lie. They obviously in no way thought that people would go buy these cameras trying to prove the Earth was flat. So there you go. A lot of people ask me questions like this. I'm going to go through the basic question. If the Earth is flat, wouldn't you fall off? Can you fall off of a lake? Can you fall off of a pond? No, you get to the shoreline. Antarctica is known to have the highest elevation in the world. It's effectively an ice ring around you. It's illegal to go there, and every country has agreed. Captain Cook tried to circumnavigate it back in the day when 68,000 miles saw ice shelves the entire way, documented it very thoroughly. You can't go there. You can't fall off of a lake, and you can't fall off of a pond. So that's called a straw man. No one thinks that. If flat earthers thought that you fell off the Earth, there'd be no real smart people that are flat earthers. Trust me, most of them I know have very, very high IQs. Okay, this is why if you Google flat earth, you won't find me, you won't find any of the real ones. You'll find Flat Earth Society. It's the only thing that isn't censored. The government said they had to censor it, but they prop up this place called Flat Earth Society. It doesn't have one real flat earther in it. It says we think we're a disk spinning in a solar system with spherical planets and that you can fall off and that it's going up in the sky 9.8 meters per second squared. That's all a lie. No one thinks any of that. It's dumb. That's all dumb. So if flat earth is really so dumb, then why do you got to censor the real ones and then show something that is so dumb it's not what we really think? That makes no sense. If you're being logical or honest at all, that makes no sense. So all you'll find when you Google it's Flat Earth Society, we have QR codes and stuff. I mean, look up 200 Proofs the Earth is Not a Spinning Ball by Eric Dubay. Look up Globebusters, Jeranism, What's It Gets It on YouTube. Hopefully you can find some of these people. I'm actually What's It Gets It. So there you go. The Earth is flat, a topographical plane. The Earth is contained. We have gas pressure. The Earth is stationary. It's not moving. Hence why you've never felt the Earth moving in your entire life. Even Einstein himself, who's the one that came up with the modern version of gravity called the theory of relativity, said, I've come to the conclusion that the spin... Oh, someone's triggered. The Earth's flat, bro. Don't make this weird. Einstein said, I've come to the conclusion that the spin of the Earth can never be proven with any optical experiment ever. That's why to this day it's never been proven. You know why? Because the Earth's not spinning. The only time the Earth is spinning, or you feel it spinning, is when you chug tequila. You might get the spins when you lay down. And what do you got to do to stop spinning? Roll over and throw your feet on the ground to stop spinning because the Earth's not spinning. If I fly a drone right here, 24 hours, I come back, it's still right there. If I throw a baseball up, it comes back down. When I fly a plane over the Earth, I don't assume the Earth is spinning. How come you can land a plane on an Earth spinning 1,000 miles per hour east, go in the opposite direction? What would happen if you land on a plane, go in the opposite direction of the Earth's spin, 1,000 miles per hour? The plane would disintegrate. Do you go forward or backwards? Which one is it when you land? Nothing works on a spinning ball. There's no evidence the Earth is spinning. You know what is spinning though? The stars in the sky. You can Google it yourself. Time lapse of the star trails. I take them all the time. All the stars reset in perfect concentric circles around Polaris. That's the North Pole star, and it's been that way for all recorded history. The stars reset over and over and over in perfect concentric circles around Polaris. And North Pole, Polaris, the star is directly over the North Pole of the Earth, which is the center of the surface of the Earth. The Earth is geocentric. Okay, so we covered the Earth is flat, the Earth is contained, the Earth is not moving, and here's the big one. What that means is that the Earth is geocentric. That means the center of everything. The Earth is the center of everything. Everything that exists in the sky, the Earth is the center of it. If the Earth is the center of everything that exists, how did it get there? Someone had to put it there. They told you everything came from nothing, randomly exploded over billions of years in a vast emptiness of nothingness, flying through with asteroids. Then a Mars-sized body hit the Earth and transferred energy to its core and broke it up into a bunch of different pieces of debris, and then gravity coalesced into perfect spheres, and the moon just stopped right where it needs to have perfect total eclipses, and the sun and the moon look like they're the same size. What a cool story, bro. Oh, you see some of the stars, but they're actually not there. They just look like they're there. They burned out. They're just thousands of light years away, so you can't tell. Or maybe they're just there. They have to be thousands of light years away, so you don't see the change in movement of the stars over thousands of years. It's called parallax, and even according to their own model, you still should see parallax over time. So do you think they went and physically measured something 5,000 light years away? Of course not. It's a mathematical construct to explain how far away it needs to be to not see a change. They look at observations, come up with a story, and then try to mathematically explain it. Speaking of, in 2021, using the theory of relativity, which is what people call gravity, right? The theory of relativity. If you apply that to the universe, in 2021, it's off by 95%. It's called dark matter and dark energy. They can't even get their math to work yet. This entire lie is built upon mathematical constructs, no physical evidence, and the math doesn't even work. It's off by 95%. There is no a vast universe expanding in all directions. How do you know the universe is infinitely expanding if you can't get to the outside of it? You don't. Have you ever heard of the Hubble telescope? It was named after someone called Edwin Hubble, right? Really propped up as this genius scientist for the heliocentric model. Edwin Hubble was quoted as saying, "It can never be disproven that the Earth is the center of everything that exists. It'll never be disproven. Never." So your scientists say it can't be disproven. He said, but we must avoid this supposition at all costs because it shows the Earth will be in a favored location. That sounds like some real science. All the evidence says the Earth's in the center of the Earth, center of everything. You can't prove it's not. You'll never be able to prove it's not. We should just completely ignore all of that, and let's just try to explain how it's shooting through space. What a cool story. These are all coincidences. Coincidence theorists. You call me conspiracy theorists, you guys are coincidence theorists. I'll hit you with some more coincidences. Have you ever heard of Freemasonry? Okay. To be a 33rd degree Freemason, you have to know the Earth is flat. You can get to 32nd degree, you can't get to the 33rd degree unless you know the Earth's flat. Literally. It's actually in their logo. There's a G. It stands for geometria, measurement of Earth. That's why it has a square and a compass in their logo. That's how you measure a flat Earth. You also have to know you're a Luciferian to make it to the 33rd degree. The idea of enlightenment, collective enlightenment, that's why they're sun worshippers. The sun's a perfect embodiment of enlightenment. You cannot make it to the 33rd degree unless you know the Earth is flat and that you're a Luciferian. If you know who Lucifer is, you probably heard the number 666. So the Freemasons know what the Earth is, and they told us it's something else. Let's see how many times 666 coincidentally pops up in this model. Supposedly the circumference of the Earth in nautical miles is 21,600. That's 6 times 6 times 600. Supposedly the North and South Arctic circles are at 66.6 degree latitude. Supposedly, the curvature rate of the Earth is 0.666 feet per mile squared. And we're also supposedly on a 66.6 degree tilted axis going around the sun 66,600 miles per hour. Using gravity, which is the number 6.66. And that was discovered by Isaac Newton in 1666. And there's a lunar eclipse called the Censorship eclipse that debunks the globe Earth, and it was first recorded in, you guessed it, 1666. These are all coincidences. I'm crazy. You didn't know any of that, but you know I'm crazy. The Censorship eclipse, according to the globe Earth model, during a lunar eclipse, the Earth blocks the light from the sun and casts a shadow onto the moon. I'm going to say it again. According to the globe Earth model, during a lunar eclipse, the Earth blocks the light from the sun, and it casts a shadow onto the moon. During the Selenilian eclipse, the sun and the moon are both above the horizon, above the Earth during the eclipse. It's called the impossible eclipse. Guess who calls it that? NASA. It's a geometric impossibility. So tell me how that the Earth is blocking the sun and casting a shadow onto the moon if the sun's above the Earth. It's impossible. And they said they recorded it in 1666. Actually, Isaac Newton said, I hope no one ever attributes gravity to me. To think that gravity could act on innate blue matter through the vastness of a vacuum to me is so great an absurdity that no man with competent faculty of thinking in philosophical matters could ever fall into it. Oh man, this guy must be dumb. Isaac Newton said, do not attribute gravity to me and the idea that it shoots through vastness of a vacuum without interconnection. That's stupidity, absurdity. But all you have to do is wait for him to die and tell you stories about it. So most people think gravity is a fact, right? And they're like, you don't believe in gravity, you're stupid. And I ask them, what's gravity? Can you define it? And they'll say mass attracting mass. That's actually 100 years old. That's Newtonian physics. It was debunked and replaced in 1915. So in 1905, Einstein came out with special relativity. Built upon that, that's general relativity. The theory of general relativity is what we currently say gravity is. That's from 1915. When you say mass attracting mass, you're over 100 years behind. But they don't teach you that in school. They teach you mass attracting mass. So why don't they teach you the real model in school? No big deal. Because they're not lying. You know, they're definitely not lying. So the theory of relativity says that gravity is the effect of the bending and warping of space and time. I've read it. Okay, so space-time bends and warps, and that's what creates gravity. So people walk up to me and they'll drop something and they'll say, you don't believe in gravity? And they'll drop something and say, ha ha ha, you're so stupid. Whatever you drop that falls down is more dense than the surrounding air. If I let go of a helium balloon, does it go down? What direction do helium balloons go? Are they gravity-proof? No, they go up because they're less dense than the surrounding air. They're lighter than the surrounding air. That's why they go up. And if it's more dense than the surrounding air, it goes down. If you want to get real technical, everything's electric, specifically electrostatic, known to be 10 to the 39th power stronger than gravity even claims to be. That's 39 zeros. All molecular and intermolecular attracting forces are electrostatic in nature. So I know some of this is technical. It doesn't matter. See, the truth is, I'm going to hit you where you need to hear this. This is a crazy lie, and it sounds crazy. I actually don't hold it against anyone for their initial response to be like, you're crazy, you're dumb. I get it. I actually thought the same thing. It's such a big lie, it makes you uncomfortable even to entertain the possibility that it could be true. I get it. You're right, bro. I understand, but here's the deal. Truth does not care about opinion. Emotional predisposition does not change facts. If you don't want the government to not be lying to you, that doesn't mean they're not. If you think they're really trying to protect you for the last 18 months and keep you safe, after giving you nothing but GMOs and processed food and putting...
In a world where the microphone dies at the most crazy, crucial times. This is dead? What's up, everybody? We can pull out that other one if we have. In a world, Yeah. Alright, let's get the other mic out. Sorry guys, the mic died. I had no idea the city was like this. I would not have pulled the lab coat out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they're not ready for the lab coat. They'll have to believe you. You should watch my Facebook stream, dude. It wasn't the crowd that had the lab coat, I don't think. But whatever. I just coincidentally went to the one place in Portland that wasn't completely empty. And when we got here, it was empty. And everyone meets there on Thursdays all together at that same time with hundreds of people all of a sudden just popped up around us. Probably another coincidence for those of you that know there's no creator.
In a world. Are we all the way up? The microphone died. Real sad. Alright, we're gonna try this one. So anyway, I know the lie sounds crazy. When I first heard it, I thought it sounded crazy. I know it's a really big lie. And when people lie to you, it's really uncomfortable, right? So you'd rather believe that the FDA doesn't approve like processed GMOs that link to cancer. I think I might use the mic, it's not very loud. There was actually, I can't even get specific actually. I almost got in trouble. I can't talk about what's really going on right now. I'll get kicked off YouTube. That's how you know that we're in a free country. We'll just say, don't take medicine from strangers. No, the government doesn't give us permission to breathe oxygen. No, we don't have curfews and lockdowns in America. That's what prisons have. Well, anyway. No, just wear it for 2 weeks and we'll get back to normal. It's been 18 months. You better wear a hazmat suit. It's the only way you'll be safe. So anyway, I know it sounds crazy to hear that someone said the Earth is flat. When I first heard that, I thought it was dumb. I'm like, dude, we've been to space. We have satellites. What about Elon Musk? I've seen a picture of the Earth in space. But then I researched it just to prove it wrong. And you can't prove it wrong. They admit that the pictures from space aren't real pictures. NASA said that. And they said they take high-altitude pictures in 4 months. They stitch together on a flat map surface. And they then wrap it around a theoretical sphere. They bring an artist in to do an artist rendition to match what the observer expects it to look like. That's the infamous blue marble picture that was the default picture on the first generation of iPhone. The one that everyone's seen isn't a real picture. That's what NASA says. So if you're being honest, and I was being honest, I was like, this is really weird that in the 21st century we don't have real pictures of the Earth in space. Or, you know, you can act like that's not weird. I don't know. Like the Earth is flat, bro. Don't make this weird. Okay? So when you look up in the sky, what you'll see is that the stars reset for all recorded history. It's because the stars are moving around Polaris just like we see. They say that it looks like the stars are moving. They're actually sitting still, and we're spinning, and we can't feel it. It just makes the sky look like it's moving. Okay, I'm a conspiracy theorist. When you watch a sunset, I say, look, the sun's moving away and you can't see it. The globe Earth says, the sun is sitting still and you're falling backwards 1,000 miles per hour. It just makes it look like that. What a cool story. The sun and the moon are the same size in our sky. I say the sun and the moon are the same size. The globe Earth says that the diameter of the sun is actually 400 times bigger than the moon. Just coincidentally, by cosmic chance, it's also exactly 400 times further away than the moon, so they look like they're the same size. What a cool story, bro. What are the odds of that? Everything came from nothing and randomly exploded, and gravity coalesced everything into perfect spheres, and the sun just decided to be the perfect distance away that the sun and the moon look like they're the same size, and we can have perfect total eclipses. This is all a lie, bro. The whole model is a lie. And you can prove it. We proved it. You can measure the surface of the Earth. That's all you gotta do. We saw mountains from 273 miles away, bruh. That's impossible. So if there's a pregnant lady and she runs her hand over her stomach to the bottom of her stomach, can she still see her hands? No, because the curvature of her stomach blocks it. The Earth has to do that if it's a ball. It doesn't do that anywhere. This water's flat, ladies and gentlemen, and if you want to bet me on it, go ahead. This water is 100% flat and level. Always. We couldn't even have elevation measurements if water wasn't level. We have to use sea level, assuming it's flat, to measure elevations. To create maps, we have to assume the Earth is flat. To measure the Earth in plane survey data, they gave us all the maps we have. We had to assume the Earth was flat. We drop a vertical plumb line, assuming a perpendicular plane. We didn't measure, assuming the Earth is flat. The only way you can make a map, the only way you can use a map, every map that's ever existed is flat, every map used for navigation is flat, every single plane assumes the Earth is flat, in its design assuming a flat and unrotating surface. When they train pilots on a target generator, they assume the Earth is flat, they negate the gravity vector. When the pilot flies, they assume the Earth's not moving and that the Earth is flat. Whenever they have a gyroscope on top of it, inside of it, it has to have rigidity in space, assuming the Earth's not moving and flat, and they fly over top of it. They do not account for the Earth spinning 1,000 miles per hour. They would wreck and die, as with every person on the plane. I know hundreds of pilots. I used to work in airports. Every pilot knows you never see the curvature in a plane. Some people think you can see the curvature of the Earth in a plane, roughly 35,000 feet in a commercial flight. Neil deGrasse Tyson, one of the world's most famous scientists, quote-unquote, an astrophysicist, he's actually a scientific communicator. He came out and he said, A lot of people think they saw the curvature of the Earth from a field Baumgartner jump that was at 128,000 feet. That's 4 times the height of a plane. He said you could not see the curvature of the Earth from that. You'd be 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You'd never see the curvature of the Earth up there. That stuff would be freaking flat. So when people walk up to me and go, "You're so dumb, you ever been in a plane?" I've seen the curvature. I'm like, yeah, I've been in the plane dozens of times. And your side admits you can't see the curvature from there. If you Google it though, it'll say you can see the curvature of the Earth from 35,000 feet in a plane. All we have to do is put something on Google, and everyone believes it. But mathematically, that's impossible. You wouldn't see the curvature from a plane. You know why it's called horizon? It's because it's horizontal. That's where the word horizon came from. You know why it's called sea level? Because it's level. So you don't feel like you're spinning because the Earth's not spinning. You see that the water's flat because the water always finds its level. You see the horizon's horizontal because that's what it needs, and it's always horizontal. You see that the stuff in the sky moves because the stuff in the sky moves. You're breathing oxygen, some of you guys, because there's something containing the Earth, allowing there to be a pressurized system adjacent to a near-perfect vacuum, which there's not a near-perfect vacuum, right? There is no evidence that there's a vacuum out there, okay? But objectively, it's impossible for it to be a vacuum sitting next to pressure. It actually looks like a fluid-like medium, which is convenient. The scriptures happen to say that the firmament separates the heavenly waters from the earthly waters, but that's just a side note. Every single religion ever throughout all of history said the Earth was flat. The only exceptions are Mormonism and Scientology. Every ancient civilization ever said the Earth was flat. The Egyptians were super advanced. They told you they were primitive. They were way more advanced than they told you. They knew the Earth was flat. They knew the Earth was contained. It is only in modern times that people think the Earth's a ball. In fact, it wasn't even taught in America until the last 100 years. If you Google it, it'll say, we've known the Earth was a ball for 2,000 years. That's a lie. Patently false. There's a couple of little psychopathic Greeks who also like to have little boy apprentices, by the way. Right? And they said, I think the Earth could be a sphere because the sphere is a perfect shape. No one thought the Earth was a ball until like the last 100 years or so. It isn't. It's a lie. Now we have science. The same science that says you come from eggs, but there's no intermediate species. The same one that says they can date things back billions of years and they can't isolate the element, and it's constantly proven wrong, and never accurate dating measures at all, ever. In fact, they took 2 rocks and gave it to a lab and told them both 2 different labs and told them to date them using carbon dating from the same place, the exact same rocks, and they got totally different dates. Like 3,000 and 35,000. Carbon dating is a myth. So anyway, it's the same quote-unquote science that has told you all this stuff. The same science that determined the distance to the sun and had to change the distance to the sun 6 times in the last 100 years. And that entire time people were like, we know that the sun's 3 million miles away. We know the sun's 18 million miles away. And now people think they know that it's 93 million miles away. They have to keep changing it because the model keeps on being proven wrong. So you have to change the numbers. It doesn't work. It's all a lie. Okay? There's something containing the Earth. You can't go up there. Most of the Earth is unexplored. 70% of the ocean, in fact, more like 90%, is completely unexplored. The deepest hole ever dug is 7.8 miles. It's called the borehole in Russia. No one's ever gone deeper than 8 miles. Conveniently, right around the same distance as the deepest part of the ocean called the Mariana Trench. You can't go below that. But they claim they know there's a core of magma 4,000 miles down. And guess what happened whenever they dug the borehole in Russia? The globe Earth predictions were wrong the entire way. They said it'd be hot where it was cold, that it'd be wet where it was dry. They were wrong everywhere. They have no idea what's below 7.8 miles. And by the way, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, you name it, they all admit they cannot explain the magnetic field on the Earth or how it works with the core because it would have to be at a temperature so hot that the metals there would lose their magnetic capability. In 2021, Harvard can't even explain the magnetic field. I can explain it perfectly on a flat Earth. There's a toroid, the Earth's a dielectric plane over top of it. Dun, dun, dun. If you look at the magnetic flux, it goes perfect over top of a flat Earth. It's sporadic on a globe Earth. If you look at wind currents of the ocean or above the ocean or ocean currents, they're all perfect over top of a flat Earth. You can lifetime document these. So they actually have a website that documents the wind currents and the ocean currents and the magnetic flux. And you used to be able to go and you change the maps. You could go to an azimuthal equidistant map, which is a flat Earth map. We don't claim that's a perfect map, but it is a flat Earth map. And it shows it perfectly over top of it. So many flat earthers went and started using it, they took that map off of it. What's up with that? If there's nothing to hide, why are they hiding everything? Why are they censoring everyone? Why they kicked me off PayPal? and Venmo. And there are people that like support that. Me being kicked off of PayPal and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and you name it. I don't even cuss, bro. I'm trying to wake people up because the government lied to you. There is no China versus Russia versus the U.S. It is government versus people. There is no right versus left. It's government versus people. Every U.S. president was related, and they all track back to English royalty, including Obama. They're all in a club you're not in. Wow, we get to vote and pick someone out of the family reunion every year. Oh, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are such enemies that she was on the second row of his wedding. It's all to keep you divided, keep you distracted, because it's called divide and conquer. Right? Everyone's arguing about race. What color race? What color race? What color? Look, man, it's the human race. I don't change race throughout the summer, right? We have different colored skin. Get over it. We're all brothers and sisters. It's called the human race. But they can get you to divide about race, and about politics, and about Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Then they got you. They win. Because no one comes together, and now everyone's wearing masks, scared of the air, obeying curfews and lockdowns 18 months after they said it'd be 2 weeks. That's the most we ever get. Your IQ is staggeringly high, I'm sure. So anyway, and first of all, actually, quarters are round too, by the way. Is a quarter a ball? Of course not. So it does look like there's an ice ring around us. What's outside of that? No one knows. It's dark now. This one's so much louder. So yeah, like I said, I know this is an uncomfortable truth, man. It's I don't want to say it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, but at the same time, it's not like a big deal. Like your life isn't going to end. When I first found out that the Earth wasn't a ball, I was a little bit shocked. I already knew the moon landing was fake, so it was a little easier for me. But what you find out, or after you keep researching it, is it's actually not a bad thing at all. What it is that this place that you live is beautiful. The Earth is beautiful. Literally, the sky resets in perfect concentric circles over top of you around Polaris for all recorded history. See, what we do as we travel the United States, we have a whole bunch of what I call gamma males, right? Gamma males would never stand up under pressure, would never do anything, would never speak the truth, and they just look for affirmation from the crowd because they think it makes them cool. Hilariously, a bunch of them do it for females, but usually the females come and talk to us and like think that they're lame. It's really funny. Females actually don't like when you're really weak and comply to what everyone else thinks. They actually like people that are confident, but you know, write it down, thank me later. But all we ever get is insults, laughing. But if I ask them, what's the second law of thermodynamics? What's the theory of relativity? What's the circumference? What's the radius? How do you measure the Earth? Did you really go to the moon? Have you researched it? Have you watched the video? They know nothing. They know nothing. And what they want to do is like, I'm so cool, this guy's a nerd. I'm like, okay, cool story, bro. Go back to TikTok. Be a good slave. It's past your curfew. So anyway, I know it's an uncomfortable truth, but look, the government lies. The government always lies. They lied about 9/11. They lied about the Vietnam War. They lied about World War II. They lie about everything. They put poison in your food. They put fluoride in your water. Fluoride is a neurotoxin put in rat poison. Did you know that? That's how you know it's safe to give to infants and drink all the time. And by the look of things, most of the people that ridicule me, you chug the water out of the faucet. Very fluoride heavy diet there. You guys should distill your water, keep it in glass, eat organic, try to eat healthy, grow your own food, etc., etc. But anyway, the reason that this is real uncomfortable, and most people don't even realize why they have this, like, you know, really crazy reaction to it, is because the Earth's geocentric. If the Earth is flat and stationary, it's geocentric. That means the center of everything. If the Earth is the center of everything, which it provably is, how did it get there? It had to be placed there. There's no other way. There's not a scientifically viable option outside of that. They've told you everything came from nothing, when in fact the Big Bang Theory says there was a pre-existing energy. And it was actually proposed by a Jesuit Catholic priest. Isn't that ironic? The belief system that says everyone is able to be an atheist was proposed by a religious priest. And it doesn't say everything came from nothing. It says there was a pre-existing energy. It kicks the can down the road. But they don't have to tell you that. All you have to do is hear the word Big Bang. So anyway, the Earth didn't come from nothing. The Earth isn't spinning and shooting through space, hurling all these different vectors, but the sky just resets for all recorded history over and over and over, and the Earth never moves ever. That's dumb. The Earth is geocentric. That means it was created. I'm not promoting religion. I hate religion. That's man-made doctrine used to brainwash people. Usually works with the state. Tries to take your money. Tries to put you in a state of fear. I'll give you hopium. Say, pray the way I tell you to. And here's the deal. There's a creator. Do with that what you will. Okay? But if you realize this, what you will realize is that means that you were created, and that means you're very powerful. You have something called a spirit. You know, science can't explain dreams or intuition or memories. You have literal light in your body at all times. Okay? You're very powerful. You can manifest things. No one gives you the right to breathe. No one gives you the right to think what you think or say what you want to say. No one gives you the right to freely travel. The Creator gave you those rights. You were created with those rights. That's actually what the Declaration of Independence says, by the way. The Creator gave us the rights. The Constitution is just us writing them down. It's not what the government lets us do. It's like a list where we say, you can never stop us from doing these things because we get these things from the Creator. So this is one of the biggest reasons that they lied. I don't start with that because it shuts people down, because they just immediately think I'm pushing a religion. I hate religion too, bro. I get it. I will actually say, side note, the scriptures are real. The 66 book canon is super messed with. They took books out, added some books in my opinion, changed the translations, but it doesn't matter. This is for you, right? The Creator actually says, even if you don't know his exact name, it doesn't matter. You're going to search your heart. What you have to do is humble yourself and get right with the Creator. You will become much more powerful. You'll be able to manifest things. He will protect you. Things can't mess with you, right? And if you knew that, I probably wouldn't be able to pull off what they have for the last 18 months, putting everyone in lockdowns and curfews, right? It's much easier to have an atheistic, nihilistic, apathetic, materialistic worldview where everybody is slaves because they don't care. That's what nihilism means, apathy, to not care what really matters. Right now, I'm just trying to turn up and talk to a baddie. That's how they brainwashed you. So why'd they lie? Why would they not lie? Just swallow the truth for what it is, man. It is what it is. You shouldn't blindly believe it because I say it. I know I've hidden you with tons of evidence that no one will ever rebut, will ever refute. I can debate aerospace engineers, astrophysicists, astrophysics professors. None of them can refute these points. I literally do it. You could bring 10 PhDs out here, line them up and debate me live, and they would all get intellectually eviscerated. And I'm not bragging. I'm saying they're literally trying to argue on behalf of a fairy tale. I have all science on my side. So you think the Earth is flat? You deny science. No, I have all science. All science ever. Science is where you have an experiment and you can prove something. Right? You have a dependent variable and a naturally occurring observable phenomena. Dependent variable. You have an independent variable. You propose a hypothesis, a cause and effect relationship test. You're like, I think this does this. So you see something naturally occur and you're like, I think this is the cause of it. And what you do is you propose that idea and you go and test it by manipulating the cause that you think it is, and you prove that it's the cause of the effect. That's called science. Okay? The globe Earth has no science ever in the history of mankind because it isn't real. Do you think that there's a scientific experiment to show that the sun has hydrogen and it's just a ball of gas in a vacuum? How do you have a ball of gas in a vacuum? What happens if you open up a fire extinguisher in a vacuum chamber? It goes everywhere. It doesn't sit there and glow for all recorded history doing perfect circles. It's dumb. So no, you don't live on this model that has 666 everywhere. Oh yeah, we're on a 66.6 degree tilt going 66,600 miles per hour with a curvature rate of 0.666 feet per mile square with the north and south Arctic circles at 66.6 degree latitudes while we're all just using gravity. 6.66 is the number and it was discovered in 1666. It's Luciferianism. They're sun worshippers. That's why they told you that it's the heliocentric model. Helios is the sun god. And actually, you should Google Statue of Liberty, and then you should Google the Helios statue. They're identical. Your country is run by sun-worshipping Luciferian psychopaths. And they've written about this New World Order for decades. And now they're about to get it, unless people stand up. That's why I put my business on pause and travel the United States trying to wake people up. If we wake up and we do not comply to their curfews or their lockdowns or their mask mandates, then we can win. And I do understand they put people in a state of fear, and that's how it's worked. I can't get too specific. I might after I end the stream. But I'll get kicked off if I tell you some of the science behind that. I'll literally get kicked off and terminated off YouTube. I can't even read a medical journal. I couldn't have a Nobel Prize winning virologist on my show. I couldn't have a neurosurgeon on my show. It would get deleted. That's how you know they're telling you the truth about all this. They don't let anyone else, even the doctors, talk about it. I have a lab coat on though, so whatever I say has to be true. That's the joke with the costume, in case you didn't know. So anyway, there you go. I mean, I covered it for you. 1945, we brought Nazis over here. Operation Paperclip. One of the Nazis supposedly took us to the moon. It's called Operation Paperclip. His name is Werner von Braun. You can look all of it up. 1946, the next year, they went and explored Antarctica in Operation High Jump. They found out what was there, and they found out they do not want you to know what's there or what's beyond it. They then came back, and the guy that went there said there's way more stuff out there that no one knows about. He died, and then they signed the Antarctic Treaty 2 years after he died, and the year after they founded NASA. They said, don't worry about what we saw over there. Look up in the sky. We're about to tell you fairy tales. You can't even make it up. The timeline's so blatantly obvious. Brought the Nazis over here, went and explored Antarctica. Then the guy came back and said there's more stuff. Right after he died, the year after he died from the interview, they then founded NASA, then signed the Antarctic Treaty, and then this Nazi took us to the moon next decade. It's all in a chronological order. 1959, they signed the Antarctic Treaty. It's still intact, bro. It says you can't go there. You can't go there, I can't go there, he can't go there, they can't go there. No one in the general population can go there. It's illegal to even try. People have tried and have been intercepted. But they're probably not hiding anything. You know, we're such enemies with China that we're in agreement with them that none of the private people are allowed to go to the Antarctica. Throw the rain, that might be the sign. So here's the conclusion. I will tell you this. Scripture are actually true. They're super lied about. Yeshua is the real Messiah. People call him Jesus. I know that people check out, but here's the deal. He doesn't care about religion. He doesn't care about other people judging you or telling you this and that. That's all stupid. That's all dumb. He doesn't care about somebody wearing a suit with a tie telling you, give me money. That's ridiculous. Oh man, you got to give me some money so I can get a new McLaren because God said so. None of that's real. Okay? But he does love you. He does want you to use your power. He made you special. He made you very powerful. And dare I say, he probably brought you out here to hear this. So I just hope you take it. Look, just pray and be humble, man. You don't have to, dear God, what they taught us to do. No, you're not writing a formal letter. Just have a conversation. Be real. There is no hiding from the Creator. Okay? And once you come to the realization of this, there has to be a Creator. There's no other way the earth can exist. I do not think the earth is flat because I think the Bible is real. No, I used to think the Bible was ridiculous. Right? I found out about the earth long before I got right with the Creator. I just want you guys to realize you have a lot of power, and unify, we're much more powerful. Don't let people shy you away from this truth because they will attack you, they'll ostracize you, but it'll always be coming from a place of ignorance. The ignorant people always attack the informed people. They've done this for all of history. Just like when in Nazi Germany, allegedly, people would be like, look, I think the government's taken over. They'd be like, you're a conspiracy theorist. Then what happened? Don't worry about what other people think or what weak-minded people think. Stand up and be yourself and represent the truth. Be honest, and you're good to go. Weak people are always going to attack you. You should see what I get as I travel the U.S. in this microphone. If you were here earlier, you got a little taste of it. The whole crowd acting like they're going to jump me or something, and they're all really soft. So there you go. Just stand up for the truth. Quick recap. The Earth is not a spinning ball in a vacuum, they lie. You're not about to get hit by an asteroid. If they tell you aliens come, look, there might be some type of creatures or something that are metaphysical, but they're from here. They're around you. Maybe from extra land. That's what extraterrestrial means. There is no aliens from intergalactic civilizations. And when they come here, be very wary of anything they tell you. I've seen 7 UFOs in one night. I've seen orbs of light. I know there's something going on in the sky, trust me. The world's biggest observatory or telescope, quote unquote, in the world is owned by the Catholic Church, and it's named Lucifer. And it's illegal to see any of the images that they get. So what are they keeping up with in the sky? I don't know. You tell me. Stuff is going up in the sky. But I want to tell you, do not fall for aliens came from intergalactic civilizations to save the day, and there's like 30 races. That's all ridiculous. And when they tell you, here's the new medicine you need to take, you don't take it. And when they tell you, here's your new digital tracking system, you don't take it. I'm not saying I know it's going to happen, but I'm planting the seed of preparation for it. Most people now, in 2021, they think they're woke because they believe in aliens. Believe it or not, when the government lies to you for decades, they don't come on mainstream television on the History Channel for 10 years in a row telling you that they lied to you with ancient aliens. It's a deception. If there is something, they're not your friends. Anyway, get right with the Creator. There is no magic, mystical vacuum out there that you can float around in. That's not real. take an admiration and appreciation for where you live. You live in a very special place. Your life is very special. You're very special. You're very powerful. I actually do this because they're lying to children, just like we were lied to when we were children. And when you were 5, they told you you live on this tiny speck of dust and there's nothing important about you. You're a tiny piece of sand in this ever-expanding universe. An asteroid could kill you at any moment, just like the dinosaurs, right? And just believe the government and the scientists. And you were like, wait, if that's the Earth, will not fall off? And she's like, no, gravity. And you're like, what's that? It's just what keeps you to the ball. And you're like, okay, legit, when's recess? Right? You never thought about it again. That's why I got to get you when you're young. And actually, children don't believe the lie immediately either. They're like, wait, so I could dig a hole to China? They want to test the lie. So they hit you with cartoons and fairy tales and stories of being astronauts and Star Wars and movies and TV shows and video games. And now you're adults and you think Elon Musk is going to save the day and put a chip in your brain and take us to Mars. So they're lying to children, okay? Children should be allowed to breathe air. You got to play with your friends freely and run around in the yard, right? The children today get that right too. So don't be selfish and stand up for the children. They're lying to them. They're telling them they're insignificant. They're telling them they came from apes. That's a lie. You didn't come from apes. Lightning struck primordial soup and rocks turned into fish. They were like, man, this water's whack. I want to grow some food. And they jumped out and turned into rodents. They turned into apes. And then they're like, man, I want to get smarter and lose this hair and stand upright. There's no intermediate species, no proof of it, no proof that anything could ever change like that, but just believe me. Here's a data chart. You're special. You're created independent of the animals. You are not an animal. You have a moral compass. You know what's right and wrong. You're born with a consciousness. You have memories. You have intuition, and science can explain none of it. So whenever you tell me how science explains intuition, holler at your boy. You'll get a Nobel Prize. It'll never happen. You have a consciousness. It's not just the material world that you see. It's much deeper. This is much deeper than what you think is going on for the last 18 months. They are attacking your spiritual power. They are literally attacking you. Your freedom to go out. I can't get too specific. It really sucks. I might when I end the stream. But anyway, just know they don't care about you. We're the human race. We come together. We represent the truth. Sometimes truth is uncomfortable. It's okay. It's okay. It's probably really uncomfortable for those people that went and fought in Vietnam to then find out decades later the government's come out and admitted that we blew up our own ship and lied and said they did it to start a war. And many of our grandfathers or fathers maybe died. That's uncomfortable. Doesn't change the fact that they did that just because it's uncomfortable. The Tuskegee experiment where they injected tons of African Americans and then they died, that's uncomfortable to accept that. Doesn't change the fact that they did it. When they told you that a paper passport popped out of an explosion and floated down to ground zero and just showed you where the bad guy was, the day after they told us $2.1 trillion of taxpayer money was missing, and then a plane hit the Pentagon in the very area that money was documented, so oops, can't tell you where it went, sorry, the plane hit that exact area of the Pentagon, it was documented. And on the same day, at the same time, the military were running drills just in case someone hijacks planes and tries to run them into the towers, so they didn't know if it was part of the drill or the real planes or not. That's why they didn't flag anyone and tell them that the planes were off route. These are all official narratives. And then there's weapons of mass destruction. They go over there. Never mind, there's no weapons of mass destruction, and they stay for another 13 years anyway. That's uncomfortable. I had friends die. My dad missed my birth. Okay? I get it. It sucks. Lies suck. It doesn't change the truth. And the last thing we need to be doing right now is complying to one of the most corrupt establishments, the U.S. government ever. They give you rules and lockdowns like prisons have. We don't have prison terms here, bruh. If you just keep complying and just watching TikTok, small waist, pretty face, and a big bang on the gram, I don't got time, I want some followers, you're going to turn around and you're going to not have any freedom, and neither are the children, and you're going to regret that decision. So I hope that you stand up for the truth, always represent the truth, don't care what other people think. Weak-minded people will always attack you. They'll always attack you. Take pride in it, bro. I mean, you're doing something right. They don't think for themselves. Think for yourself and represent the truth. Don't let other people intimidate you. There you go. There's the closing. Yeah, the Earth is not a spinning ball. I'm sorry they lied. You can't go to the moon. No one's going to space. You live in a special place. It's protected. It's got a container. It doesn't move. Hence all scientific evidence ever. All empirical evidence ever. Okay? The Earth is flat. It's not spinning. It's not revolving. It's very simple. And I know that most of you guys won't, you are not honest enough to hear it. It doesn't matter. I do this for the people that are. So here are the basic proofs, and then I'm going to wrap it up real. Okay? The Earth is not a spinning ball. That's why you've never felt it moving for all recorded history. The water always finds its level. 70% of the surface of the Earth is ocean water. It's level. It's flat. You can't have pressure next to a vacuum. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. Space, as has been defined, is impossible. We've sent mountains from 273 miles away. The globe Earth mass should be blocked by 3 miles of Earth curvature. That's impossible. Okay? They lied. You can physically measure it yourself. It's what gets it on YouTube. If I'm still on there, WITSIT gets it. We have cards up here. I know most people are embarrassed. Maybe we come up here. We have cards with QR codes. Look up Globebusters, Darwinism, 200 proofs the Earth's not a spinning ball. 200 proofs the Earth's not a spinning ball if you're so big and bad. You can also go to your app store and download the Flat Earth app. Type in Flat Earth. If you watch every video on the Flat Earth app for 2 weeks and you still think the Earth's a ball, you can send the creator of the app, Dave Weiss, my homie, to prove the Earth's a ball, and if you get it right and you prove the Earth's a ball, you win 2 Bitcoins. Does anybody here want 2 Bitcoins? Okay, well just download the Flat Earth app, it's $2.99, and then you watch every video for 2 weeks, you send him a proof that the Earth's a globe, and it's a real proof, you win 2 Bitcoins. So anyway, I love you guys. Stand up for the truth. Realize we don't have mask orders. No, we breathe oxygen freely. We have lungs. We were created that way. We don't have curfews. We don't have lockdowns. Stand up for the children before they're not free anymore. You're going to regret being complacent slaves if you do not. Peace out.
In the world. It's kind of raining on her, brother. Is it even working?
It's working.
Alright, well, it's frozen on my phone, but whatever. Oh no, I'm just standing still. Alright, what's up, guys? I love you guys. We'll start just kind of wrapping everything up. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. That's a no. Okay.
I was just curious. You said you have like a YouTube channel or
Yeah.
something?
Mm-hmm.
You have a card or?
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
The QR code and
Okay.
There's a website on there too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for staying and listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm super. Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. You scan that, I'll take it off.
I'm in from like 2015.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay, yeah. I've been online for just like a year now.
I mean, like the things you talk about, like you went to Jesuit and stuff. I was like, okay, he's deep in.
Yeah.
Do you what exactly?
Yeah.
You might do.
That stuff's crazy. You've heard of Globebusters? Or Darwinism?
Yeah, I was watching there and it was like,
Okay, cool.
okay,
Yeah. Me and Darren are homies. He's on Globebusters and I'm on Globebusters for the Christian.
yeah, because I've seen his like 4 guys do a program together, but he goes on to another site, right? So I don't do that.
Yeah, Brock.
Oh, Rockman, yeah.
But yeah, dude, that's my homie.
Oh,
But you've known for a while?
yeah, yeah.
That's cool, bro. Most people are on this site.
No one cares. It's sad.
Crazy.
It's really sad. Seeing people around you, it's really, really sad.
This city is pretty sad. You live here?
For 5 years now.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, man, this place is like crazy dead and falling apart. I feel bad. It's such a beautiful area. Like Oregon, it's really pretty.
It is really, really pretty. And it's like something about, right? I didn't make any district connection until I started watching that really like last year, right? You know about it?
Yeah,
Well,
look.
we had a big massacre. Like, our whole family was dead. All of our 2001, like 4 months after 9/11. Like all of the things, his wife, 2 sons, daughter, dead. Yeah. And I was like, there's something to it. I was always like, there has to be something to it, right? And I was like, I started looking at the name in Debunked, and it was like 44, 44, 44. And it was like 44 is killing, shooting, execution, and all that stuff, right?
All right, yeah, but yeah, I hate they'll take me down.
But like, I was like,
Yeah, it's like
what? And the time is not called the king. What is Gurain, right? So I was like, is there any district connection? I started looking it up, and you went to a district high school.
of course it is.
I was like, I mean, like I'm not even making it up. I'm just looking it up, and I'm seeing connections that should not be happening, right? I was like, and I started looking up, and yeah, they started the first Society of Jesus College in our school, and the king invited them in 1949, and it was like a whole history behind it. And every one of our kings has like died early, 450, 453, and 35. And the guy who bought the Society of Jesus in our country, he died in Scotland. I'm like,
That's a crazy thing to do, stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, bro. You have Instagram or anything?
Yeah, but I don't use it.
Fair enough. I'm saying you can message me on there if you want to. And that'll take you.
I'll add you.
Yeah, that's gonna take you everywhere. And then we can talk. I'm down to talk about whatever, but certain things, dude, certain things these people believe in.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know. You've heard of American Dad?
Yeah. He's
One
what?
that got you? Yeah. Same here.
2015 when he started making those videos.
200 proofs. What's up, guys? All right, I know that this was a pretty dead stream. If you looked around, you see a few people. I almost wish I had set this up for the bike thing. It was pretty funny, but it is what it is. I'm thinking like, are these people all about to come back here? You know, because it makes me want to like, but it's all good.
It's gonna get way too hectic.
Yeah. All right, guys, I love you. We were getting assaulted and stuff earlier, so I'm gonna just catch up with you later. I don't know how well you can see this, but anyway, you guys know the deal. Seek and speak truth unequivocally. The weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance. Don't worry about what other people think. Represent the truth. And when they revile you for His name's sake, rejoice. For they did it to all the prophets before you. Support the Torah $, Witted gets it. And cash out Witted at protonmail.com. On PayPal, are you going to be in activism in Portland tomorrow? Probably not, honestly, bro, because the city's super dead. I don't think it's really worth it. I'll be honest, but I can't promise yet. Night Austin 11 360 view. Yeah, sweet. We got it back working.